Thank you for being here tonight. I want you to turn to Matthew chapter 4. We've been trying to walk through this passage with you, and thank you for your patience and patience with the weather as well. So thank you for being here tonight. I'm a little scared of what I've got to, what we're into tonight, and the truth of this passage, and it moves my heart, and I'm anxious to share it with you. So we're looking at Matthew chapter 4. We're going to begin reading at verse 1, and we will go down and read into verse 8. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, afterwards he was hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread." But he answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him up into the holy city, set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge over you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "It is written again, you shall not tempt the Lord your God." Again the devil took him up on an exceedingly high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, "All of these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Let me pray with you. Your insight is what we want. Your wisdom is what we desire. You are the truth. Be truth in us tonight. And reveal yourself, whatever happens, whatever is said, however it goes down. Would you show us yourself tonight? In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. I'm absolutely convinced that if you were to go to Jesus in this hour and say, "Is the devil a real person?" he would say, "Absolutely." I think he would have been convinced. You may want to say that evil is a force, but in the mind and the heart and what's going on in this, from the scriptural view, the devil is an actual living entity with a mind, personality, will, and emotions, and is active. And I believe Jesus would back that up. So as we approach him here, we understand that the devil is alive and well. And I have no desire to exalt the devil, because I think that we have done way too much of that. Somehow I've gotten the idea through the evangelical church often that we have thought that the idea was that we had two sovereign powers on our hands, that we had sovereign God Jehovah and we had sovereign God devil, and that they were at war with each other. But folks, that's just not the case. It's not the case at all. Yes, we do have sovereign God. He is omniscient, and he is omnipotent, and he is omnipresent, and all the sovereignty of his own being is wrapped up in his personality, and we honor him and lift him up. But the devil doesn't even come close to that. You understand that the devil is a created entity. He is not the creator, he is the created. He is a fallen angel, and he is just an angel. So we haven't got sovereign God Jehovah and sovereign God devil. We've got a created being who's much less. He may be smarter than I am, and he may be a fast mover, but he's just not on the level of God at all. He has no omni qualities at all. I mean, he's not omnipresent. The devil is not everywhere at one time. He's limited to one spot as you are. He may be a fast mover, but hey, he's limited to one spot as you are. Hey, he does not have omnipresence. You understand that the devil is not omniscient. He doesn't know everything. God knows everything. We agree with that. The devil does not know everything. He doesn't know what you're going to do next. That's the fun of it. You get up in the morning and fool him because he's second-guessing you at best. He just doesn't have a clue. If he had a clue, folks, the scriptures would be different. Because you read the scriptures and you want to say, "You're not too bright here." Because he's just not omniscient. And he certainly is not omnipotent, all-powerful. He doesn't even come close to all that God is. In fact, he's already whipped and defeated according to the scriptures. So we have not got sovereign God Jehovah and sovereign God devil. We have sovereign God Jehovah and cockroach devil. That's what we've got. So I have no desire to study him, and I have no desire to exalt him, and I have no desire to know more about him, because I know that in the intimacy of the person of Jesus Christ, there is overwhelming victory, and the victory is already mine. Yes. And I want to rejoice in that. But he is there. There's no question about it. And he's in this scene. And you realize that if you go back to the very beginning of this whole thing, when they were in the garden and this devil showed up and tempted Eve and Adam, and they fell, that the devil must have been rejoicing in that moment, because he got them to do the same thing he did, which was source themselves. And that the whole temptation was all about, hey, eat of this fruit, for you will be like God. And you can be your own God and do your own thing and live your own way. And instead of God being the source of your life, you can source yourself and you can be like me. I am freelance. I do my own thing. I source myself. So why don't you join me? And Adam and Eve joined into the sin, whatever that may have been in your mind or as you interpret the scriptures. It certainly came down to the fact that they were dethroning God in their lives, and they were enthroning themselves, and they were going to be their own God and live in self-sovereignty and self-sourcing. And so they did. And the awfulness of the hour was that God came upon the scene, and of course the earth became cursed, and you know all the story of all of that. But the significance of the hour is that the devil is there, and God Almighty looks the devil square in the eye, and this is so significant. The first messianic promise was given. Whoa, way back there, and launched the whole thing. And you know what the messianic promise was? The God, sovereign God, looked the devil square in the eye and said, listen, the seed of that woman, it's going to step on your head, boy. It's going to step on your head. One man, think of it. One man is going to show up. One man is going to show up, and he's going to step on your head, and that's going to be the end of you, son. One man, one man, one man. Do you realize how singular that is? One man. Do you realize how narrow that is? One man, not multitudes of armies. One man, not multitudes of individuals. One man, that the whole solution to everything that's going on in the sin business is going, and everything you've pulled off and everything that's fallen in this hour is going to come back and be solved. And the one who's going to solve it is one man. One man's going to show up. Watch your head. He's coming. Do you understand that the whole Old Testament can be literally seen in light of that? Because what's the whole drama of the history of the Old Testament? Oh, the devil. Hey, come on. He's smart. I agree with that. He's launching a campaign to do what? Stop the one man. See, all he has to do is stop the one man. Find out who the one man is and end him, and you got it made. See, victory is yours, Satan, if you just stop the one man. Just eliminate the one man. So do you realize the process through the Old Testament? It's all about the battle of stop the one man thing. What's the whole Abraham thing? Oh, this is how the one man's going to come into existence. Well, stop Abraham in that thing. Stop the children of Israel. What's the Moses stuff and all the wilderness wanderings all about? Oh, it's the devil saying, stop the one man. I can't let the one man come into being. And if I can ruin his heritage, if I can stop this, see, it's all about a campaign. Stop the one man. One man. One man. What's the whole prophet stuff about? Guys standing on their hind legs saying, woo, the one man's coming, folks. The one man's coming. See, this whole thing is about one man. And the war is on. Isn't that interesting? The Old Testament, the New Testament, 400 years in between. During that whole time, no prophet, no authentic prophet, nobody saying, thus saith the Lord. Hey, the voice of God isn't heard. I mean, there's no inspiration, there's no movement, there's no blessing. God is, if your wife hadn't talked to you for 400 years, you'd think she was mad. So evidently God has backed off. Can you see the devil relaxing, saying, hey, I got it made. And he's relaxing in this whole thing and saying, whoa, the one man, obviously God has abandoned his plan. I've caused so much problem for him that he's just abandoned his plan. And so it's all over. And so he begins to relax and wipe his hands. And 400 years of that, and all of a sudden, angels are filling the sky, singing at the top of their lungs. Stars are talking, the planets trumpets are echoing it, and good night shepherds are running wild all over the place. And wise guys are coming from the east, and they're saying, whoa, where is he? Where is he? The one man is here. Angels are showing up. Can you see wouldn't you just like to have your phone and take a picture of Satan's face as his jaw drops on his chest? I thought he was wiping his hands thinking he had won, and now the one man is actually on the site, and he's nowhere. Of course, he isn't going to give up, you understand. He's going to go after this thing. He has a pawn, Herod. As you study Herod the Great, you come to the conclusion, at least I do, I come to the conclusion the boy was demon-possessed. I mean, he's an awful individual. How could you? Whoa, this guy, study his history. It's terrible. Here's this Herod guy, a pawn of Satan himself, and he just manipulates him in. And in anger, what does he do? He creates an edict that literally slaughters baby boys, all in an attempt to do what? Get rid of the one man. Fix him before he reaches his manhood. Take care of him now. And all the baby boys are slaughtered in Bethlehem and the surrounding district, and the devil must have wiped his hands and said, whoo, I take care of that. That's got him. I've covered it. He relaxes. And can you imagine about 30 years later, John the Baptist is standing on the banks of the Jordan River saying, whoa, he's here. The one man. The one man. The one man. In fact, right over there. And him and the one man, John the Baptist and the one man, go down into the river Jordan. And the Father through the Spirit says, woo, this is the one man. And literally filled this one man with the Spirit and empowered him. And the one man filled with the Spirit is going to march into the Gospels and bring about redemption. This is the one man. And the devil brings together all that he can and launches one more attempt to take care of the one man. We're reading about it. 40 days and 40 nights. I have no concept of what the battle must have been like. I mean, it's eyeball to eyeball, nose to nose, blow to blow. And after 40 days, food is totally forgotten. And after 40 days, there's this lull. And again, Jesus is leaning against a rock, panting for breath. The devil is covered with dust and bruised. And he's crouching down there. And they look at each other and say, let's take a break. And in that moment, the whole body of Jesus just screams out. And he becomes deeply aware of his hunger. The one man, his body drives are yelling. The devil leaps to the occasion and says, see where spirit sourcing gets you. I know, Jesus. You were down there, the Father through the Spirit filled you, and you're operating out of the Spirit. You're a Spirit-filled man. You're living in the flow of the Spirit. You're letting the Spirit take control. You're trying to redo the Adam thing. I got them out of that a long time ago. And you won't be any problem either. Fed them an apple, feed you some bread. Won't be any problem. Jesus, if I were you, look where spirit sourcing got you. Starved to death. The Father isn't even, I love that boy. Sure he does. He doesn't even take care of your basic physical needs. If I were you, you're going to have to handle this yourself, Jesus. If I were you, I'd reach back and grab a hold of my divine powers. I'd zap those stones. I'd reverse the incarnation. It wouldn't take you long. Just a few. You can go back to being spirit-filled later. It won't matter. Come on. Just solve your own problem. Handle it yourself. Ever been tempted to do that? Phew. Just solve your own. Just take care of it. Jesus said, hang tight. Don't go away. And he leaned back into the arms of the Father and crawled up into the chest of the Father. And the Father whispered in his ear and breathed on his cheek. And in the intimacy with the Father spoke to him. And you know how the Father spoke to him? Visions? No. Audible voice? No. You know how the Father spoke to him? The Scriptures. The Scriptures. The Scriptures. I better not get off on that. The Scriptures spoke to him through the Scriptures. As if the Scriptures are the sacred Word of God, the way God speaks to you. The Scriptures. Jesus came right back in the face of the devil with a body that was screaming out for food and said, I'd rather starve to death than source myself. I will not. I'm going to be a spirit source man and live in the flow of the Father. The whole scene changes. We talked about it last night. It's verse 5. The devil took him to the pinnacle, to the holy city, set him on the pinnacle, and said, Jesus, I know. You didn't go for the bread thing. Okay, you got your body under control. You're disciplined. Wow, let me talk to you about ministry. Jesus has just been ordained. He's just ready to plant a church. This is his first church plant. He's ready to start his ministry. In 3 Sundays, he's going to have the opening Sunday. How's he going to get a crowd? How would you win a crowd? How would you go after Jerusalem? How would you win all of Israel to God? The devil came along and said, oh, that's easy. Just jump, just leap, just jump off the pinnacle. Just, woo, hey, an angel underneath each arm, and you just go floating down. Your hair's blowing in the breeze. Whoa, your robes are just, woo, what a sight. Spectacular, brother. Woo, and you just glide right in on the front porch of the temple, and everybody go, whoa, and the cameras would snap, the TV cameras would be rolling. Hey, Dr. Phil, here I come. It'd be great. You'll have a crowd overnight. Just go for it. God will rescue you. Jesus said, absolutely not. Why not? Because, see, you're back to the sourcing thing again, man. See, what you want me to do is you want me to source my ministry. You want me to leap off and then say, oh, God, come on, get in on this. I'm not going to do that. See, I don't act and then ask God to help me in my action. I don't plan and then ask God to help me with my plans. See, I don't develop it and then, hey, God, you want to come and give me an extra edge here. I'm not going to do that. Ministry's all about what? Oh, Jesus says, oh, the Father, you're going to move, and I'm going to respond to you. You source this. I went in on your mind and your heart. What do you want to do? And remember, he was standing at the pinnacle, which is the place where the priest would come and blow the horn, announcing the sacrifice. And the Father says, my plan is bleed, suffer, and die. My plan is, pour your life out. My plan is not slick evangelists. My plan is not quartets. My plan is not great programming. My plan is bleed, suffer, and die. Roll your sleeves up. Never, ever think about yourself. My plan is crucifixion. Are you in, Jesus? Are you in? Whew. I'm embarrassed to tell you how many times I have used God for myself. Instead of falling at his feet, how many times my prayer has been a manipulation of the divine to get what I wanted. How many times I've put him over the barrel of his promises and told him he had to come through. Instead of falling at his feet saying, oh, please pour me out. Use me. Please fit me in to the amazing plan and destiny you've built me for. Wow. And then you come to this last scene. Here it is. Again, the devil took him up on an exceeding high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. Now, come on. Is there a mountain high enough so you could see the entire world in the first place? If there was a mountain that tall, could you stand on that mountain and actually see the whole world? See, this started out in the wilderness. Then you're in the temple, pinnacle of the temple. Now you're on a high mountain. See, was this a vision? Did this actually happen? Did the devil actually take him there? Was Jesus in some kind of trance? What is this? If you think this is a vision, I'm with you. If you think Jesus was actually there, I'm with you. It doesn't matter. You can read commentaries, and there's page after page on that stuff. And I look at it and say, who cares? What difference does it make? It misses the whole point. That's not the point of what's going on here. I don't even know why I brought it up. Except I just don't want you to get sidetracked on that kind of junk. Because that isn't what's going on here. See, stick with the subject. So whether this was a vision, whether he is actually there, what's going on here and that kind of circumstance, not even interested in talking about. It's just the devil took him up on an exceeding high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. Wow. Significant. Hey, Jesus, you didn't go for the bread thing. Okay. You got your body under control. Good for you. You didn't go for the leap off the pinnacle stuff and launching ministry, which would really have been successful, but you didn't go for that. Okay. So you made it by that one. Hey, let's sit down at the table. Let's just put all the cards on the table. Let's just, hey, no more games, no more coming in the back door, no more trying to con you, no more manipulation. Let's just lay it all out. Let's just, hey, eyeball to eyeball, man to man. I got a deal for you. I got a deal for you. Now, Jesus, you came to start a kingdom. Is that not correct? And Jesus must have said, yeah, I'm starting a kingdom. The devil must have turned to him and said, well, how many do you have in your kingdom? How successful have you been so far? And Jesus must have turned and said, well, there's only one. I'm the only one. Because he is the only spirit-filled man at this point. So, I'm the only one. The devil must have looked at him and grinned and said, okay, one. Well, good luck. I got a deal for you. I know you want a kingdom. And he showed him all the kingdoms of the world. Think of what that must have looked like. Here's Rome, here's the Colosseum, here's Athens, here's all the philosophers and all the scholars and all the schools, and here's all the architect, and here's all the artistry, and here's all the paintings, and it's all yours, Jesus. Just yours. Brings up an interesting subject. The devil is going to give Jesus the kingdoms of the world. Like they're his. Are they his? And if they are his, where did he get them? This has been an interesting study for me. Because I discovered they are his. And you know where he got them? We gave them to him. That was the setup back in the creation, you know. That God made man out of his own image and said, you shall have dominion. And then he listed everything that was on. And man was to rule over the entire creation that God made. The kingdoms of the world. I give them to you, man. You're to be a spirit-filled man. You're to be a spirit-sourced individual. And you're going to reign over my entire creation in that spirit sourcing. And what did Adam and Eve do? They took what God gave them, the kingdoms of the world, and handed them to Satan. And said, I give them to you. Well, Manley, you can't blame me for that. I'm sitting in my living room. Hey, it's late. And wife's in bed. Kids are asleep. Hey, it's just me. Privacy of my own home, my own business. Not hurting anybody. Not involving anybody else. It's just online pornography. You know what I'm doing? I'm saying, hey, devil, come on in here, man. I'm going to give you dominion. I'm going to give you rulership. I'm going to give you the kingdom of my sexuality. I'm handing it to you. I'm not going to be in charge of it. The Spirit sourcing is not going to be in charge of it. I'm going to live a self-sourced life in your kingdom, and I'm bringing my whole sexuality under my self-will and my self-desires. And I'm handing it to you, and I give you dominion over my sexuality in my home. You can take charge of my daughter. You can handle my boy. Hey, I give you my grandkids. There it all is. I'm handing it to you. Well, it's my own business. That's true. It is. But you just handed it to him. And he's going to wrap his arm around my daughter. The devil's going to wrap his arm around my daughter and father her. He's going to wrap his arm around my son and teach my son the ways of his kingdom. Because I just plain flat handed it to him. I did that in my business life, my work ethic. They are his. I gave them to him. What was I doing? So the devil comes on the scene and says, hey, here's all the kingdoms of the world. Now, here's the key to the passage. Walk with me on this, will you? Here's the key to the passage. Look down at verse 8. Again, the devil took him up on an exceeding high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. The Greek word for glory there is doxa. It's really the key word in the passage. The kingdoms and their doxa. Doxa, it can be translated glory, but it has a whole undertone to the word. And the undertone to the word is the idea of thought process. It has the idea of perspective. It has the idea of how you look at a thing, how you view it from your perspective. I want to give you an example to show you that I'm not totally off. If you want to turn there, you can. It's John chapter 5. Jesus is having an extreme debate and argument with the Pharisees. And down in chapter 5, he in this discussion comes to a key point. It's verse 44. And in chapter 5, verse 44, he turns to them and says, how can you believe who receive honor from one another and do not seek the honor that comes from the only God? Now, the Greek word for honor there is our Greek word that's translated glory. It's doxa, honor. Well, what's he saying in verse 44 of John chapter 5? How can you believe who receive honor from one another? He says you guys just hang around and spout your own personal opinion to each other and whack each other in the back and agree with each other. And you never open up to come to the opinion and thought process and honor of God. I was looking in the mirror one day and I saw these beautiful blue eyes of mine. And I said, man, those blue eyes are superior. And I began to think about it. The people I know that have blue eyes, they seem to be smarter than brown-eyed people. Oh, they seem to be better looking than brown-eyed people. Oh, they seem to be more clever than brown-eyed people. I began to test it out. And in fact, I found a blue-eyed guy, and I talked to him, and I said, hey, what do you think about this? And he said, I agree with you. So, hey, he and I kind of started a fellowship of blue-eyed people. And we began to meet in my kitchen. And he found another blue-eyed guy who agreed with us. And he came. And I found another guy. And we had 4. And then we had 5. And before we know it, we had 20, 25 people, blue-eyed people. We're all hanging around, whacking each other on the back, all agreeing that blue-eyed people are smarter and more and are more intelligent, better looking, and get along better than life, and are better dads and better workers. And, hey, we're just superior people, blue-eyed people. And before we knew it, we had 50. We had to get a building, of course. And we just kind of hung around, and we decided we'd meet on Sunday morning. And so we all gathered together in this building, just blue-eyed people who just whacked each other on the back and just go, hey, I believe with you. I agree with you. And we just told each other what we all agreed on. And we began to discover there were some people who came in brown-eyed people who had blue-eyed contacts. Oh, we searched them out. We got rid of them. And we ran people off because we want to keep this. That was the Pharisees. See, they came up with their little opinion. They got their little deal all in place, and they just spouted it to each other and whacked each other on the back. Well, we got to be right. Why? Because I got to be right. Why? Because you agree with me. And you must be right because I agree with you. And we never got down on our knees and said, whoa, what do you think, God? We never sought. We never opened ourselves up. See, that's the passage. So this word doxa, I'm trying to tell you, has the idea of perspective and viewpoint. Now bring that into this passage. Oh, it changes everything. Look at this passage in verse 8. He showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory, meaning their opinion, their perspective. In other words, what you're getting on this is the devil's perspective of this whole thing, how he views these kingdoms. In other words, here's the way it goes down. The devil turns to Jesus and said, hey, you came to start a kingdom. Yes, I did come to start a kingdom. Well, how many you got in your kingdom? Well, I've only got one in my kingdom. And he said, let me show you what I got. And the devil must have been grinning from ear to ear, so proud and so whoa. And he showed him all the kingdoms of the world, all self-centered, all self-focused, all self-sourced. No spirit sourcing in it at all. And he showed him all the kingdoms of the world and all the Roman thing and all the Athens stuff and all the Greek philosophies and showed him there's the alcoholics and there's the druggies and there's the filth and there's the winos and there's the sexual perverts and there's all the child abuse and there's all the hatred and all the divorces and all the mental upsets and all the emotional breakdowns and all the suicides and all the grinning from ear to ear saying, Jesus, I'll give it all to you. You can be kingdom. You can be king over all the self-sourcing of the world. Can you see Jesus standing over here saying, what? You think there's anything in your kingdoms that allure me? You think I'm standing over saying, this is temptation, it's too great. I just want to get self-sourced. Everything in your kingdom, man, repulses me. And before I could take over your kingdom, everything would have to change. Because I'm not building a self-sourced kingdom. I'm building a spirit-sourced kingdom. Here's where it trumps me. Just literally kicks me in the teeth. What is it? Think about this. What is it that's inside of me that just is allured, just is pulled, that just pulls me, that just allures me, that I want to hate. I just want to get in their face and beat the living daylights out of them. What is it in me that just wants my own way? What is that? Couple in our church, all upset, left, wouldn't talk to me. Finally, through a second and almost a third party, I got him to sit down and at least have a sit down and, share. And they started in. They went on for about an hour and a half. You know what the whole conversation was? Well, I feel, I've got well, I'm hurt, and if I can't, I don't, what? What? What is it in me that, why do I get hurt when you look at me cross-eyed? Well, the pastor didn't shake my hand. Why does that bother me so bad? What's in me that... See, that's what we're really dealing with here. See, here's all the kingdoms of the world, and the devil is grinning from ear to ear saying, whoa, this will get you, Jesus. You will not be able to turn this deal down. And Jesus is looking at it and saying, what? I'm repulsed by every bit of that. I don't want any of that. There isn't anything in your kingdoms that pulls me. Which again brings me back to what is it that's in me? Oh, let me ask you this. See what you think about this. Do you think it's possible to have such an encounter with Christ? Do you think it's possible to literally be so filled with Jesus? Do you think it's possible for Jesus to literally go to the depth of your heart and clean me out to the depth of my being until everything that's in the devil's kingdom repulses me? Until I see with his eyes, until his perspective becomes mine. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that this spirit source man, this one man who's going to step on the head of the devil, do you think this one man actually stepped on the head of the devil? And on the cross it was so powerful that the devil and all of his self-sourcing and all of his kingdoms literally are transformed in my life. And the depth of my heart is so renewed and remade in the intimacy of the presence of Jesus that everything in the kingdoms of the world is repulsive to me. Is that possible? And if you say, well, preacher, that may be possible, but probably not probable. I mean, who's got that, right? I mean, how many people do you think have that? Well, how many Christians do you think actually have that? Well, maybe one out of every 100,000 evangelicals have that kind of experience with God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if that's the way it really is, then I want to be the one that has it. Come on in on that, man. Until in the sourcing of the Spirit, his mind, wouldn't it be something to feel like he feels? That you'd have his eyes and you'd see things like he sees them. That you'd be so tight with him and so intimate with him that he literally would begin to share, whisper in your ear, breathe on your cheek, and in the intimacy of his presence, your work ethic would be dominated by him, your jokes would be controlled by him, your thought process would be his thought process. You and him would just be operating together in a moment by moment living experience. It wouldn't be him over there, you over here. It would be a new creature, you and him in intimacy, until we are partakers of the divine nature. Yes! Oh, wouldn't that be something? I want that. I got to have that. Whatever that takes, I got to have it.